Set up your example of your class. So we've got our database class and we also have our student class. So you can set this up so that you keep all the data for each entity in your database in a separate area. So I've got my student table here, adding the student. So let's work with this again. Now, this time around, what I'm going to do is I'm going to now retrieve the information. So what I'm going to need to do, though, is create an object. So I'm creating this object, and I'm going to use the class that I made. So I'm going to use this class, student database. That has now allocated all of these methods to this object, student DB. It's a good starting point. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go student underscore name. I'm going to give them a name. Let's go for James. We're going to go student underscore age equals 17. And we're going to say student underscore subject equals computer science. Now I've got all the data that I want to go in. What I want to do is actually physically add it to the database now. So student underscore DB. So I've used the object. Now remember, because I'm using OOP, when I use a dot now, I can access any of the methods that I've created. So in this case, I'm going to add this student. Inside, I'm going to pass in the parameters. So student name, student age, student subject. So that object, if we have a look up here, all right, we've got our database, but each of these, if you look here, to use add student, I passed in name, age, and subject. What did I use? Add student, and I passed in name, age, and subject. So now that add student will automatically run this query, but remember it is executing the query from the original place that it's inherited that from. So it can still use the methods in this master class if you like. So I've got this. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to print out all of the students in my database. So students equals, and I'm using this object again, student underscore DB dot get all students. And you know you've done it right if it's bringing up the method. That now means that get all students was returned. It's returned all of the information there. Now what I can do is I can iterate through that and say for student in students, print student. Let's see if that works. I'm going to run that. And you can see the new person that I've added in has gone into this. Now, if you're using tables or you're using a while loop, it could be possible to do a while loop so it keeps adding a new student in. I mean, just for example here, okay, you could put while true, let's say entry. So we're going to say my input equals true, and you can say while my input equals true, I can say student name equals input, what is your name? I could say student underscore age equals input, what is your age? Student subject equals input, what is your subject? And then what I could do is continue continue input equals input. Would you like to continue? So what I'm going to do at this point is let's put this up here because I need this. I've got my connection to my database. I'm going to get rid of these. Okay, this is now getting the name, the age, and the subject each time. Okay, and what I'm going to do is add that. So that little piece of code is going to add it in to the database. It's going to run that method and add that new student in. And would you like to continue? Yes or no. And what I could do here is say if continue input equals no, my input equals false. There are many ways to do this. So let's run this program and see if it works. So I'm going to run that. What is your name? And we're going to say Raymondo. What's your age? 38. We're going to go French today. Would you like to continue? Yes, actually. What's your name? Harry. What's your age? 28. What's your subject? French. Would you like to continue? No. Let's click OK. Let's have a look. My input equals false. Let me fix that. I didn't actually change that, so we'll run that again. So what is your name? Ray, 38, computing. Would you like to continue? Yes. What's your name? Harry, 37, French. Let's go no this time and see what it does. There you go. And you can see the ones that I added in before actually worked. It was just because I put the error of putting two equal symbols in there before. We all have errors from time to time as a coder. It's how we recover. So that shows you there how you could keep getting input into a database. You could just use a loop. You could probably put while true and do a break as well if you wanted. But that is how you can set up a simple single table OOP database, and it might be a good starting point for anybody that is starting an A-level project to kind of help you get to grips with how to do SQL and how to do some simple queries. Good luck.